everyone, welcome to WagerTalk TV. I'm your host, Minty Betts, and joining me today is Drew Martin at Drew Martin Betts on Twitter, and the one and only Ralph Michaels at CalSportsLV on Twitter. Give him a follow. This Sunday, we've got the Super Bowl 54, San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Drew, what side are you leaning towards? This is a tight, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a tight game.
Yeah, this is a tough one to handicap from a side perspective, Minty, but I guess short answer, I kind of like the San Francisco 49ers. Okay. I guess profile speaking, you know, straight up and ATS records, very similar, 15-3 versus 14-4 for Kansas City. That's straight up, and 12-6 ATS San Francisco versus 13-5 ATS for Kansas City, talking against the spread. I guess Kansas City, it's tough to step in front of the Chiefs of recent, their ATS run here. 8 straight wins straight up and against the numbers. So if you've been betting the Chiefs for almost half of the year here towards the back half, you've been really cashing some tickets. 3 straight against the spread for San Francisco. I just think there's more of a change on the San Francisco side, Minty. Talking about their defense, getting healthier, D Ford and company, and mainly it comes down to the defensive numbers, which, you know, sack-wise in the playoffs, it's very similar. 9 sacks for San Francisco, 8 sacks for Kansas City. However, I look at the turnovers. Interceptions, 3 interceptions for the 49ers defense. No interceptions for Kansas City's defense. Forced fumbles, Kansas City did have 1, but San Francisco had 4 forced fumbles in just the last 2 games, each team playing 2 postseason games. I think there's actually something to that. A lot of people, you know, with betting think that I guess turnovers are just totally random. I'm not of that camp. I think that teams that cause turnovers tend to keep causing turnovers in the future. I've talked to a lot of analytics people in the business. There is something to that. A lot of people can't put a pinpoint on it. But when teams practice, you know, stripping the ball, I think that kind of comes to fruition in the future. I know it's tough to go against arguably the best player in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, but I think we get the best defense in the NFL to kind of hold him at bay. So I think catching a couple points here with San Francisco's the side.
I can't agree with the turnovers. I think there is something with turnovers. You know, you look at how teams tackle, you look at how teams punch out the ball, you look at how teams hold up a player and another guy comes and attacks it. So that I can agree with. But you do have Mahomes, who is in his 4 playoff games is 3-1 with a 9-0 ratio without turning the ball over. So, you know, he's done that job. You know, I'm indifferent on the side. I'm not going to have a play on the side in the total, but, you know, we still have to give you some advice here. And when I look at the side, I'm going to break down the first quarter side. I look at Kansas City, and I talked about this with Gianni and you, Minty, on one of our prop bets. You know, a lot of times we overanalyze situations. Well, KC started off slow at home in their first playoff game. KC started off slow at home their second playoff game. Well, now you're on the road in a setting where you're more nervous, in a setting that there's a lot of pressure. So do you expect them to start off fast? Well, no. And then you look back at the season. Of their 18 games this season, they have been tied or down after the first quarter, 10 of 18 games. Not something you would expect for a team that's won and covered 8 straight games. Then you look at San Francisco. They have had the lead or have been tied after the first quarter, 14 out of 18 games. So you put those two together, in 24 of the 36 scenarios, or 2/3, 67%, has San Francisco in a position where you're going to get them at even or +1 in the first quarter and, you know, grabbing that value. So, you know, I do, like I said, while I'm cheering for Kansas City for the game just because they haven't won a Super Bowl, Midwest City, being from Cleveland, having that Browns effect to me, I'm going to root for them. Studying this video and looking into it, I actually think I'm going to get to the window betting San Fran in the first quarter at pick, or if you can get them at +1.5. And like you said, you know, the things to remember with San Fran for your side, having 4 first-round DEs on your roster that are rested. We saw how dynamic they are, Bosa, Ford, Buckner, and Armstead. And again, we don't talk about Jimmy G like we do Mahomes, but Jimmy G, let's remember, 23-5 as a starter.
A lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like where Ralph's going, Minty. I mean, would you recommend the +0.5 point or just straight up at I guess, pick?
Oh, you know, in one of the other videos, we talked about how many times games are tied. After the first quarter,
It's tied the most after the first quarter.
it's been tied 6 times the last 18 years.
Wow. Oh.
So a third of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can buy plus a half for 10 cents or less.
Wait, and what's it going off of? About minus 155?
What,
San Francisco plus a half a point?
San Francisco plus a half, right? So it depends if you can shop or where you get it, because if you can find a place that's dealing 1.5, some places are actually dealing plus a half minus 120.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So again, you need to shop for that, but I think it's a situation where who knows who's going to win the coin toss, but if San Fran wins the coin toss, I think KC defers no matter what. I actually could see San Fran winning the coin toss and taking the ball to not get KC off to a quick start. I honestly could see that scenario.
Okay.
It's only happened once in 9 years. I think New Orleans against Indy was the last person to do that. But, it wouldn't be, it's something that I could see as a possibility.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, well, thank you, gentlemen. $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. All daily packages for Monday's action are only $9, including any 5% best bets normally priced at $40.